When I won $4 million in the lottery, my family didn't congratulate me. They started calculating. Within a week, I wasn't a daughter or a sister anymore. I was a walking balance sheet. They thought they were entitled to cut up. Do you ever wonder what your family would do if you came into money overnight? Like real, life-changing money? Would they celebrate you? Or quietly start working out exactly what you're worth to them in dollars? My name is Marissa, and I won $4 million in the Florida lottery. After taxes and taking the lump sum option, I walked away with a little over $2.3 million in my account. Not generational wealth, not billionaire money, just enough to finally breathe after a lifetime of scraping by, and apparently, enough for my own family to turn me into their personal bank. Before I tell you how fast their love turned into invoices, ultimatums, and emotional blackmail, please take a second to like, share, and subscribe. Stories like mine are more common than you think, and your support helps them reach the people who need to hear them. I grew up in Tampa, Florida, in a small, worn-down house where the air conditioning only worked in half the rooms, and the walls had that faint, permanent smell of old grease and dust. We weren't homeless, we weren't starving, but every month felt like a game of financial limbo. How low can the balance go before something gets cut off? My childhood memories are stitched together with money problems. My mom at the kitchen table, spreading bills out like tarot cards and trying to divine which ones could be paid and which ones had to wait. My dad staring at his hands a little too long before he stood up and said he was going out for a drive, which usually meant sitting in the car, smoking, and trying not to cry. I learned very early that can we afford it wasn't a question in our house. It was the invisible rule behind everything. Field trips, sports teams, school photos, even buying the nice cereal instead of the off-brand one, everything had to be run through that invisible filter. Most things didn't make it through. By 16, I had 2 part-time jobs. I stocked shelves at a grocery store in the mornings, dragging myself out of bed while it was still dark, listening to the hum of fluorescent lights and the squeak of shopping carts as I lined up cans and boxes. In the evenings, I served tables at a diner, dodging greasy floors and short-tempered cooks, smiling at customers who snapped their fingers at me like I was a pet. I paid for my own clothes, my school supplies, sometimes even groceries when the pantry got too bare. I learned how to stretch $20 further than some people could stretch $200. My parents like to say they'd raised me to be independent, but really, they were just relieved they didn't have to pay for me. Independence wasn't a value, it was a necessity. College didn't magically fix anything. I got in on scholarships and grants and debt. I worked in the campus library, a coffee shop, and did admin work for whatever department would hire me. While other students were going to parties, I was learning which vending machine on campus gave you the most calories for the least money. I studied, I worked, I hustled, because no one was going to catch me if I fell. There was no soft landing, no spare room back home, no secret savings account waiting to bail me out. There was just me and whatever I could scrape together. Eventually, I landed a job as a paralegal at a mid-sized law firm. From the outside, it sounded respectable. My daughter works at a law firm, my mom would brag, as if I were arguing cases in front of the Supreme Court. On the inside, it meant I was underpaid, overworked, and constantly tired. I did the research, the drafting, the formatting, the endless chasing of signatures and dates, while men in suits put their names on the final document and took home bonuses. I lived alone in a tiny one-bedroom apartment with peeling paint, a rattling hot water heater that sounded like it was haunted, and a neighbor upstairs who stomped like he was rehearsing for a marching band. The sink backed up twice a month, the landlord took days to respond to anything, and my old Honda Civic made a new sound every month like it was trying a different way to die. My splurge was ordering takeout instead of eating cheap pasta at home again. And even then, I'd feel guilty after, staring at the delivery total in my banking app like I'd committed a crime. And still, every once in a while, usually when I stopped for gas, I'd spend $20 on a lottery ticket. It wasn't that I believed I'd win. I'm not that naive. It was more like a stubborn little ritual of hope. $20 that should have gone toward groceries or my electric bill, traded for one flimsy slip of paper and a tiny fantasy. What if? What if it's my turn? What if I catch a break big enough to actually change anything? I bought the winning ticket on a Tuesday. I remember that day clearly because nothing about it felt special. I was exhausted, holding a bag of frozen vegetables in one hand and my wallet in the other. The grocery store humming with fluorescent light felt like every other Tuesday in my life. The clerk scanned my food and then nodded toward the lottery display. "Jackpot's big tonight," he said. "You want to try your luck?" I almost said no. I was thinking about the voicemail from my landlord about upcoming rent increases, the student loan email that had "important" in the subject line, and the way my car had coughed on the way there. Then I thought, I've been responsible my entire life. I've ticked every box, played by every rule. Just this once, I'm allowed to be irrational. "Sure," I sighed. "Why not?" He printed the ticket. I tucked it into my purse, went home, heated up my sad vegetables, and fell asleep on the couch with the TV on. I didn't even watch the drawing. The ticket might as well have been a receipt for all the attention I gave it. 3 days later, my coworker Danielle ran into the office kitchen shouting, "Someone in Tampa hit the 4 million jackpot. Can you imagine?" I laughed and said, "Yeah, that would actually fix my student loans." And then something in my brain flicked on. Tampa, 4 million, Tuesday. I felt my heart speed up in this weird, prickly way. I dug through my purse, found the crumpled ticket, and stared at it. The numbers swam in front of my face at first. I had to blink a few times to study them. I pulled up the lottery website on my phone and started reading. First number, match. Second number, match. Third, fourth, fifth, match. Bonus number, match. I read them once, twice, a third time. It was like my brain kept hitting a glitch and refusing to process what it was seeing. My hands started to shake. My stomach dropped like I'd missed a step going down the stairs. That sickening lurch when you expect solid ground and it's not there. "No way," I whispered. I checked the date, the store location, the sequence again, letter by letter, number by number. All of it matched. I didn't scream. I didn't jump up and down. I didn't call everyone I loved. I just slid down the wall between the vending machine and the fridge and sat on the tile floor because my legs didn't feel like they could hold me anymore. It had happened. The thing people joked about, rolled their eyes at, called impossible. I had actually won. You'd think my first thought would be, I'm rich or I can quit my job. It wasn't. My first thought was, I need a lawyer. Working in a law firm had at least taught me that much. I left work early, pretending to be sick, clutching my bag like I was smuggling a live grenade out of the building. I didn't tell my boss, my coworkers, or even my best friend. I went home, locked my door, set the ticket on the kitchen counter, and stared at it like it might vanish if I looked away. Over the next few days, I did everything by the book. I contacted a financial advisor who'd worked with lottery winners before. I got a referral to a tax attorney. I sat through meetings where people in suits explained in calm, professional voices just how much of that $4 million I wasn't actually going to see. I learned the ugly, unavoidable truth. The 4 million headline number was more of a marketing slogan than a reality. If I took the lump sum, the cash value was lower than the advertised jackpot. Then the federal government wanted its cut. Florida doesn't have state income tax, which helped, but between withholding and what I'd owe when I filed, we estimated I'd walk away with around $2.3 to $2.4 million. Not $4 million, not a trust fund lifestyle, but still more money than I'd ever had in my entire life. Enough to change my life, enough to reveal exactly what my family really thought of me. My advisor recommended I stay quiet, decline publicity, and keep my circle small until things settled. It was good advice. The stories he told me about people who went public, who had cousins and exes and complete strangers banging on their doors, were enough to make my skin crawl. I almost followed it. But the one person I thought I could trust completely was my younger sister, Angela. Angela and I grew up sharing a bedroom, clothes, secrets, late-night whispers about getting out of that house one day. We used to lie awake, staring at the cracked ceiling, talking about the lives we'd have when we finally escaped. Separate apartments in the same city, inside jokes no one else would understand, holidays on our own terms. She was the charming one, the one who could walk into any room and make friends. In my head, she was still the girl who cried when I left for college because she said it felt like losing her other half. So the night before I officially claimed the prize, I called her. She answered on the second ring, loud music in the background. "Hey, I'm at Jade's, what's up?" "I need to tell you something," I said. "Can you go somewhere quiet?" There was a pause, muffled movement, a door closing, the music fading into a dull thump. "Okay, what's going on? You sound weird. Are you okay?" "I'm fine," I said. "Just sitting alone in my apartment, holding a winning lottery ticket." She laughed. "What, like $20 on a scratch-off?" $4 million, I said. Silence. Then, "What?" I checked the numbers 3 times. I already talked to a lawyer. I'm claiming it tomorrow. I really won, Aang. For a moment, there was just breathing on the other end of the line. I could picture her, eyebrows up, mouth open, trying to decide if this was some kind of elaborate prank. Then she screamed, the sound bursting through my cheap phone speaker, probably startling everyone at that party. "Oh my God, Marissa, are you serious? Are you messing with me?" "I'm serious," I said, laughing now because her reaction finally made it feel real. After everything, the universe finally threw me a bone. She started talking at 100 miles an hour. "This is insane. I'm so happy for you. You deserve this. We're gonna be okay now. You're gonna be okay. We're gonna..." That word stuck out to me even then. We're going to be okay. At the time, I pushed it aside. She was excited. We were sisters. Of course she said we. At the end of the call, she said, softer, "I love you, okay? I'm really happy for you. You deserve every single dime." I believed her. That was my first mistake. Within 48 hours of officially claiming the prize, my mother knew, which meant, inevitably, that everyone knew. I hadn't told her. Angela had. My mother's number flashed on my phone while I was literally on hold with the bank. "So," she said, voice bright and sugary in a way it only ever got when she wanted something, "I hear you finally did something big with your life." "Hi, Mom," I said slowly. "Nice to talk to you too." "Don't be smart," she snapped. Then the fake cheerfulness returned. "I'm just saying, I always knew you were meant for more. See, I told your father, our girl will take care of us in our old age. God provides, doesn't he?" My stomach nodded. "It's not as much as it sounds," I said. "After taxes and the lump sum." "Oh, please," she cut in. 2, 3 million, whatever. That's more than your father and I have seen in our entire lives combined. So we should sit down and talk about how we're going to handle this like a family. Burning dread, like a family, landed in my stomach like a rock. In my mom's language, like a family didn't mean emotional support or shared joy or mutual respect. It meant your money is now considered communal. My dad called that evening. He didn't even say hello. So I heard you're rich now. I'm not rich, I said. I'm stable, finally. Same thing, he said. Look, your mother and I have done a lot for you. Kept a roof over your head, fed you, all that. It's only right that some of that comes back around now. We'll sit down, make a plan, figure out how to use that money to set the whole family up. That's what good daughters do. That line, good daughters, wrapped around my throat like a fist. It had worked on me my whole life. It was the phrase that got me to babysit when I had exams, to hand over my paycheck when bills were behind, to bite my tongue when I wanted to say I was drowning too. I'll think about it, I said. I shouldn't have. Over the next few weeks, the conversations turned into a campaign. My mother texted me links to luxury SUVs with little heart emojis. This would be perfect for when you come visit us, don't you think? My dad started dropping hints about a boat he'd always dreamed of owning, sending me pictures of glossy decks and shiny outboard motors. My Aunt Linda, who I hadn't seen in person in 6 years, messaged me about how cramped her house was and how if only we had a little help, we could finally get something big enough for everyone to gather in. Everyone suddenly valued family gatherings. Angela, at first, seemed different. She didn't immediately ask for anything. She came over with takeout, curled up on my couch, and asked, "How are you feeling about all this?" It disarmed me. "I don't know," I admitted. Honest answer? Scared. Happy. Overwhelmed. Everyone keeps talking like I won hundreds of millions of dollars, when really, I need this to last me the rest of my life. I can't just start buying everyone houses and cars. She nodded. Yeah, they're being intense. Mom's been showing me Lexus brochures like it's her job. I keep telling her, chill, it's not that kind of money. I laughed, relieved. Thank you. I feel like I'm losing my mind sometimes. She clinked her plastic cup against mine. I got you. I don't care about the money. I'm just glad you're not stressing about rent anymore. For a while, I believed her. I helped her with some overdue rent so she wouldn't get evicted. Paid off a medical bill. Told her I'd help with a reasonable security deposit if she wanted to move somewhere safer. It felt fair, kind, manageable, like something an older sister with new breathing room could do. But generosity gets blurry when people don't believe in limits. Soon, the small favors started adding up. Could you spot me $2,000 for a used car? Just until I get my bonus. Do you think you could pay off my high-interest card? I'll pay you back. Jade's getting married in Mexico. It's kind of expensive, but I have to go. Could you? Every ask came wrapped in a story. A crisis, a reason why this time was different, why this wasn't just a handout. It was an investment, a loan, a temporary bridge. None of that money ever came back. Meanwhile, my mom escalated. She invited me over one Sunday and slid a handwritten proposal across the kitchen table. She'd even underlined the title, Family Financial Plan. I've been thinking, she said, if you take care of a few key things, it will really set the family up. I looked at the list. Pay off their mortgage, buy a luxury car, buy my dad a boat, renovate the house so the kids will actually want to visit, help Angela with a down payment, fund Cousin Kyle's restaurant, start a college fund for the grandkids. At the bottom, a total, underlined twice. Almost $800,000. "This is 1/3 of everything I have," I said. She shrugged. "You'll still have over $1 million. You'll invest it and be rich forever. You don't want to hoard it, do you? You'll die alone in some condo surrounded by cash you can't spend." The casual cruelty made my chest hurt. There was no gratitude in her tone, no sense of, "We know this is a lot to ask," just expectation. "I'm not hoarding," I said quietly. "I'm planning. I have to think about my whole life. I don't have a husband or kids or a second income. This is it." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. You'll find someone now. Men love women with money." That sentence made my skin crawl, not because it wasn't true, but because of how casually she said it, like my future partner wouldn't be a person, just another asset she expected to benefit from. The real turning point, though, wasn't that list. It was Angela. A few weeks later, I stopped by her apartment unannounced, carrying a bag of groceries she said she couldn't afford. I let myself in with the spare key she'd given me back when rent was the crisis, not our relationship. I heard her voice before I saw her. She was on the phone, pacing the living room. "No, listen," she was saying, low and conspiratorial. "She's close to breaking. I'm telling you, she's totally overwhelmed. If we push a little harder, she'll sign. The lawyer said if she gives the family power to help manage the funds, we can reallocate a big chunk. She doesn't know what to do with it anyway." My grip tightened on the grocery bag until the plastic dug into my fingers. A box of cereal inside tilted and pressed into the side like it was trying to escape too. "She keeps talking about retirement and being responsible," Angela continued, mocking my tone. "But she's still thinking like a poor person. She doesn't get that this is our one shot. If I can get her to agree to let Mom and Dad co-manage the accounts, we're set. It's just a matter of pressure." Pressure. Not support, not care, pressure. Something inside me went very still. It was like all the noise in my body shut off at once. I walked into the living room. Angela's eyes went wide. Her face drained of color, then flushed. "Oh my God, I didn't hear you come in," she said, fumbling to end the call. "That was just—" "Who were you talking to?" I asked. "No one," she said too fast. "Just Jade. She's being dramatic about her boyfriend and—" "You said—" "The lawyer," I cut in. My voice didn't sound like my own. It was too calm. "You said if you get me to sign over co-management, you'll be set. You said I'm thinking like a poor person." We stared at each other. She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. "You're taking it out of context. We're just scared you're going to blow it on something stupid, or get scammed, or—" "I have a financial advisor," I said. "I have a lawyer. I have professionals. What I don't have is a family that values me more than a bank balance." Her eyes filled with tears. "I do value you," she said. "You're my sister. We finally have a chance. We grew up with nothing, remember? Don't you want Mom to finally have nice things? Don't you want Dad to feel like he didn't waste his life?" "It sounds like you want me to buy their peace of mind," I said, "and pay interest." She flinched like I'd slapped her. "I wanted to help," I added. "I offered to pay off debts, to help with emergencies, but that wasn't enough." She swallowed hard. Her face twisted. "You're being cruel," she said. "You don't know the pressure I'm under. Mom and Dad say if I really cared about the family, I'd make sure you don't just run off and forget us." "That sounds like their problem," I said. "Not mine, and not yours, unless you choose it." Her jaw clenched. "You've changed." "Good," I said. That was the point. I left the groceries on her counter and walked out. My hands still shaking, my heart pounding so hard it made my vision blur at the edges. I didn't slam the door. I didn't yell. I just left. And with every step down that hallway, I felt a version of our relationship peeling away like old wallpaper. That night, I called my financial advisor and said, "Whatever we have to do to legally secure this money from anyone else gaining access to it, let's do it. I need to make sure that under no circumstance can my family co-manage or take control while I'm alive." We restructured everything: trusts, beneficiaries, protections. Things I'd only ever heard mentioned in client files suddenly applied to me. I didn't list my immediate family as beneficiaries to anything significant. If something happened to me, most of my estate would go to the scholarship fund that once kept me in school and a couple of local charities that actually helped people without demanding ownership of their lives. When the paperwork was done, my advisor asked, "Are you ready for how your family's going to react to this?" I thought about my mother's list, my father's guilt trips, Angela's whispered strategy. "Yes," I said. "For once, I'm choosing me." The fallout came quickly. My mother called, voice cold enough to burn. "Did you change your will?" she demanded. "Yes," I said. "Did you cut us out?" There was no hurt in her tone, just outrage. "I made some changes," I said carefully. "I chose charities and—" She cut me off. "Your aunt's husband works with someone who knows your advisor. Word got back. Do you know how humiliating it is to find out your own daughter would rather give her money to strangers than her own blood?" "It's not about humiliation," I said. "It's about what feels right. You've all treated this like it's community property since day one. It isn't. I'm willing to help within reason, but I'm not your ATM, and I'm not your retirement plan." She hissed into the phone. "You are ungrateful. We sacrificed for you. We fed you, clothed you." "I worked 2 jobs as a teenager to keep the lights on," I said. "Let's not rewrite history." There was a long pause. Then she said, low and furious, "You will regret this. One day you'll need us, and there won't be anyone left. Money doesn't hug you. Money doesn't visit you in the hospital. Money doesn't love you." Tears stung my eyes, but my voice stayed steady. "Love doesn't come with a bill attached," I said. "Whatever you feel for me, it isn't the kind of love I want in my life." She hung up. My dad texted hours later, "Guess we know what we mean to you. Enjoy your money. Don't call us when you're lonely." Angela sent one message. "I can't believe you do this to the people who raised you. I thought you were better than this." I stared at her words until the screen blurred, then turned off my phone and left it in another room because seeing it light up made my chest hurt. On the surface, my life improved after that. I paid off my student loans. I bought a modest condo in a safe neighborhood with working air conditioning and a view of the bay instead of a view of a brick wall. I upgraded my car to something reliable that didn't scream every time I turned the key. I kept working for a while, partly for structure, partly because I didn't want my entire identity to become the girl who won the lottery. The knot of fear about bills and emergencies loosened. I went to the dentist without dread. I got my car serviced on time instead of praying it would hold out another month. I donated small amounts to causes that mattered to me. I even quietly covered a coworker's rent once when her ex stopped paying child support and she was too proud to ask for help but desperate enough to cry in the bathroom. Those things felt clean. No strings, no entitlement, just being able to help because I wanted to, not because someone demanded it. But underneath the practical relief, there was grief. Grief for the version of my family I'd carried in my head, a version where my parents loved me more than money, where my sister would always be on my side, where support flowed both ways, not just from me to them. Holidays passed in silence. My mother posted passive-aggressive quotes about ungrateful children on Facebook. My aunt liked every one of them. Relatives I barely knew messaged me to say, "Life's too short to fight over money," as if that was all this was. It wasn't just about the money. It was about hearing Angela talk about me like I was a puzzle to solve for her financial gain. It was about my parents making my boundaries into moral failings. It was about realizing that the first time in my life I was truly safe, they wanted me to dismantle that safety for their comfort. I started therapy. I told my therapist, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm cold. She shook her head. People who are truly cold don't sit in my office worrying if they've hurt everyone around them, she said. You're not cutting them off for no reason. You're responding to a pattern of behavior. You're allowed to protect yourself. We talked about enmeshment, about emotional manipulation, about the difference between support and obligation. She asked me a question that stuck in my brain like a thorn. If the money disappeared tomorrow, would you trust your family to show up for you purely out of love? I sat there on that soft armchair, fingers twisting the tissue in my hand, and realized I couldn't answer yes. Little by little, I built a new version of a life. I made friends in my building. Elena down the hall invited me over for coffee because she liked my shoes, not my bank account. We talked about books and terrible dating stories and which brand of coffee tasted least like burnt dirt. I joined a weekend art class where everyone's hands were stained with paint and clay, and no one cared what anybody did for a living. I volunteered at a local women's shelter, using my paralegal skills to help with paperwork for restraining orders and custody filings. Those women didn't know I had a lottery-funded cushion. They just knew I listened and helped them fill out forms that scared them. These people didn't know my financial situation. They treated me like a person, not a walking opportunity. About a year after my win, I ducked into a cafe near my old neighborhood for a latte. It was the kind of place with mismatched chairs and chalkboard menus, the kind of place I'd always wanted to sit in and read, but never had time or money to linger in before. That's where I ran into Angela. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, just dimmer, life-tired. The sharp brightness she used to carry subtly had a crack in it now. "Marissa?" she said. "Hey," I answered. We stood there, two people who used to share everything, now not even sure if we should hug. We ended up sitting at a corner table, each cradling a paper cup like a shield. "You look good," she said. "You look tired," I replied, and we both gave a small, sad laugh at the honesty of it. "Mom's still furious," she said. "She talks about you like you ran off with someone else's inheritance." "That sounds right," I said. Angela stared at her cup. "I'm not here to ask you for money," she blurted. "Just so you know, I actually got a second job. I'm paying down my cards. It sucks, but they're my mistakes to fix." I nodded slowly. "Okay." She took a shaky breath. "I replay that phone call you overheard all the time," she said. "Hearing myself talk about you like that, I hate it. I hate who I was in that moment." "You hurt me," I said, "deeply." "I know," she whispered. "I told myself I was doing it for the family, that you didn't know what you were doing, that you needed us. But the truth is, I was jealous. You did everything right, and then you got this miracle on top. It felt unfair. And instead of dealing with that, I tried to turn you into a resource." She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "I'm not asking you to forget it. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. For real. No angle. If you never speak to me again after this, I'll still be glad I said it." My chest ached. I don't know what this changes, I said honestly. Trust doesn't grow back overnight, but it does mean something that you said it. We talked a little more about small, safe topics: work, weather, old shows we used to watch together. There were moments where it almost felt normal, and then moments where one of us would say something that reminded us of the gap between who we were and who we'd become. When we stood to leave, she hesitated. "Do you ever miss us?" she asked. "The before version?" "I miss who I thought you were," I said. "I miss believing I was loved without conditions." She nodded, tears spilling over again. "Yeah," she said. "Me too." We hugged. It was awkward and stiff and painful and real. Not a neat fix, not a movie moment where everything is forgiven. Just two women holding the complicated truth of shared history, hurt, and something that might one day become a different kind of relationship. When I got home that night, I sat on my balcony and watched the sun sink into the water, turning everything gold. The sky shifted from blue to pink to deep orange, and the bay reflected every change like it was trying on different versions of itself. I thought about that $20 ticket, about the way my hands shook in the office kitchen, about my mother's lists, my father's guilt trips, my sister's whispered plans, about the charities whose emails I now read with a sense of quiet purpose, about the friends who texted me to ask if I wanted to come over for pizza and a movie, no transaction implied. And I realized something simple. Money didn't ruin my family. It revealed them. It magnified whatever was already there: resentment, entitlement, conditional affection, until I couldn't pretend not to see it anymore. Winning the lottery didn't give me a perfect life. It didn't erase loneliness or anxiety. It didn't guarantee that I'd never sit in a quiet apartment and wonder if I'd made everything too hard by insisting on my own boundaries. What it did give me was a choice. For the first time ever, I was safe enough to choose myself. To say no. To walk away from people who weaponized love and guilt whenever they wanted something. I paid a price for that choice. I lost the fantasy of unconditional family love. I lost holidays crowded with people who half loved me and half resented me. I lost the easy certainty that if something happened, my parents would show up, no questions asked. But I gained something I never had before: self-respect, autonomy, a life built on relationships where I'm valued for who I am, not what I can give. Sometimes people ask me, quietly, if I ever think I went too far, if cutting off my parents financially was really necessary, if there wasn't some softer, more polite solution where everyone got a piece and nobody got hurt. What I tell them is this: I tried soft, I tried polite, I tried reasonable, I tried explaining the math, the limits, the reality that $2-point-something million is not an infinite fountain. Every calm no turned into an argument. Every boundary turned into a moral indictment. In their eyes, there was no version of this where I was both a good daughter and in control of my own life. So I picked being in control of my own life. And yes, there are nights when that choice aches. When I scroll past old photos and remember birthday cakes and that cramped kitchen, or my dad teaching me how to ride a bike, or my mom braiding my hair before school. Those memories are real too. That's what makes all of this so complicated. The people who hurt you are rarely monsters all the time. Most days, they're just themselves, capable of love, also capable of harm. Learning to hold both truths at once, that they did their best in some ways and failed me in others, has been harder than watching the numbers go up in my bank app. Money is simple math. Family is the part that keeps me up at night. If your love for me can be measured in dollar signs, it's not love. If your approval evaporates the second I stop paying, it's not family. If the only time you show up is when there's something to gain, you don't belong in my inner circle anymore. I used to think being a good person meant always saying yes, always giving, always setting myself on fire to keep other people warm. Now I know this. Being a good person includes being good to yourself, protecting your peace, guarding your heart, refusing to let anyone turn your kindness into their entitlement. If you ever find yourself in a position where success, money, or any kind of power changes how people treat you, pay attention. The ones who cheer for you without asking what's in it for them, those are your people. The ones who call you selfish the moment you say no, those are not. My name is Marissa, and this was my last straw. If you found something in my story that resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. Somewhere out there, someone else is learning the hard way that unconditional love should never have a price tag, and your support helps them feel a little less alone.